joining me today. My name is Wesley Boudreau, one of the financial advisors here with the Retirement Group. Today we're going to go over a couple different questions we've been getting recently from Chevron employees, whether it be from the webinars or from our client conversations, that we think may be beneficial to many of you as well. And again, if you've got other questions, you can always feel free to give us a call to go over those and dig deeper into your situation. Before I get started, I just want to remind everybody, the Retirement Group, we are an independent financial advisory firm. We've been working with corporate employees for about 30 years, helping them transition into retirement. We've worked extensively with Chevron employees, so our goal is to have a deep understanding of your benefits plans, from the 401k to the pension plan to healthcare, all those different options, and really hold your hand through the transition process, make sure you avoid a lot of mistakes we've seen. And then obviously if you need help beyond that, we hope you throw our hat in the ring when it comes time for working with the firm. Now we do have offices throughout the country, so rest assured, if you need to sit down with somebody face-to-face, we can still accommodate you there. Also, we can have meetings via webinars, phone calls, emails, all that's available to you. At the end of the day, if there's anything you take us up on after this, is our cash flow analysis. This is something that will give you a better idea of where you stand on your retirement goals, and we can compare different scenarios, whether you want to look at retiring now versus 2 or 3 years down the road, looking at the pension as the annuity versus the lump sum. We can run through all those scenarios to let you know how they look not just now, but in 10, 20, 30 years down the road to help you make the best decision for your retirement transition process. And if it's been over a year since we've done this with you, it's probably good to circle back, especially given the changes in the stock price, the changes in interest rates, and how it's affecting the pension lump sum as well. So that being said, let's go ahead and dig into some of these different questions that we've got this go around and see if we can't help some people out. So question one, would I be better off retiring this month or waiting until the end of the year? So this is really going to kind of depend upon when you're asking this question. If you're asking the question right now, it may not have as much of an effect as if you were to ask this question back in the spring. So if somebody was looking at taking the pension as an annuity, and that's the core process, then there's not going to be much change unless there's an age penalty situation. If you're under 60 and you want to retire, let's say now, but you want to wait or defer out a couple months to get a bump up in your age penalty, that's one option. But I think what this question might come down to more is the interest rates and how they're affecting the lump sums. Whereas if you were to take the lump sum, that lump sum value is going to change from month to month if you defer your benefit commencement. So when interest rates are going down, which we did this 2 years ago, we would have people actually, after they retired, wait a couple months before they commence their benefits because those interest rates were going down, which drove up their lump sum. On the flip side, this year, interest rates have been coming up and coming up quite quickly that as soon as you retired, you pulled the trigger on commencing your benefits, because if you waited a month or two, you would have been losing money on the lump sum. We're at a point right now where interest rates, at least so far for the Chevron pension plan, have kind of leveled out, it looks like, so we'll see. They've moved slightly, but so really if they stay the same, the only thing really affecting you on waiting till the end of the year would be age penalties. But give us a call. We can look at your situation and go through how much the different interest rates moves could affect you. So another one, how does Social Security affect my pension? Okay, so it actually affects it in a couple different ways. First and foremost, it affects it in the pure calculation of that pension. So again, the Chevron pension plan is a classic defined benefit plan, in which case there's a formula that's used to determine how much of an income annuity you're going to get for the rest of your life. And then from there, you can deviate if you want to do a spousal benefit, if you want to do a uniform payment, or if you want to flip it and turn it into a lump sum. Those are all choices. But to derive at that and get to that calculation, they actually look at your years of service, your final average pay, and they look at a Social Security offsets. What they're doing is they're taking, essentially Chevron's been putting in half your Social Security payments through the payroll taxes, and they're kind of they're calculating that back out of the pension calculation. So for most of you, if you worked at Chevron your entire career, it is what it is. The calculation is perfectly fine. But if you, for instance, maybe were a teacher or something, and then decide to come over and work at Chevron, and you don't have a full career on Social Security as far as making Social Security contributions, then it's definitely worth giving us a call to run a review, because in some cases they might have your Social Security offset overinflated or overcalculated. And if we can show them that your Social Security is actually lower because of being in the public sector, then you can actually get a bump in your pension on the annuity side as well as a lump sum. We've seen those anywhere from a couple $100s a month to $30,000 to $50,000 in the lump sum calculation. So that's one area it affects it. Then obviously, whenever you look at the choices, there's a uniform income. Not too many people use, but what will happen is your pension payment fluctuates around Social Security. So If you're taking that before Social Security kicks in, you're going to have a higher payment. Then once Social Security kicks in, that pension offsets so that you still get the same uniform income from start to finish. And then it also affects it when we get to the point of distributions and taxation and stuff. But that's going to be more on a case-by-case basis because Social Security is taxed a little bit differently than what your pension is going to be taxed. So it brings up tax planning strategies we can talk about with clients from year to year on that as well. So let's see. Now, how much are interest rates increasing? How much will my lump sum change between this month and next month? Okay, so we're doing this in September. Interest rates actually are not increasing right now, at least what we've seen from the last two releases of the interest rates, the Pension Protection Act segment rates. We saw actually here in the rates for August came down a little bit. The rates for July came down a little bit, so we kind of peaked out, if you would, around June, at least so far. However, the way that Chevron does their calculation, they do a rolling 3-month average, look at the previous 3rd, 4th, and 5th month. So even though those rates have come down a little bit, the actual Chevron commencement rates, for right now for September, they go up in October a decent amount and then tick up a tiny bit in November. So if interest rates stay the same, you should see it's right now, between now and November, it's about a 16 basis point change, which equates to about maybe a 1.5–1.6% change in your lump sum, where it could come down. So it may or may not offset your income you're making if you were to work later into the year. And if interest rates stay where they are right now, then you could actually see that come back down to September levels. But right now, we don't see any major movement. We're trying to figure out some type of leveling mechanism here. So those interest rates could come up a little bit or down, but again, we will have about a 2-month window where we know ahead of time. So hopefully that answers that question. But again, it's not that close. Let's run that cash flow analysis. We can keep an eye on those monthly for you. Question 4. How safe is my pension if I take the annuity from Chevron? Is it better to buy an annuity? So this is actually a question that we get all the time because, again, when you weigh the pros and cons, some of the big risk of the lump sum is going to be, spending, if you spend through too quickly, or if you mismanage it, or you're too aggressive. Those are the two biggest risks. On the opposite side, for the annuity, one of the big risks is going to be, if inflation continues and your purchasing power gets eroded even more over time. So if you get a $4,000 a month check now, that's not going to stretch as far in 10, 15, 20 years or so. The other concern people have is going to be the claims paying ability of Chevron. I don't think there should be much of a concern there, but ultimately speaking, if something were to happen and Chevron were to go under, the PBGC would step in and cover your annuity up to a limit. So we saw this happen with the Delta pilots back in 2000. A lot of them got their pensions cut in half because they didn't get the pension from Delta anymore. They got it from the PBGC, which at that time was not paying as much as what they were paying. So you might have had a pilot getting $8,000 a month in pension drop to about $4,000. Now, obviously, fast forward, here we are 20 plus years later, inflation's crept in, so the max or the limits are a lot higher, and they're based upon your age. So we have to look at it age by age. But for most, if you have a normal pension from Chevron and something were to happen, PBGC would step in and cover it. If you had a very high income pension, then it may be an issue to be aware of. But I don't think we should have concerns there. But if there are, yes, there is protection on it through the PBGC. Now, question 5. My coworker has a larger lump sum than I do, but we have the same job and are 1 year off on time at Chevron. I'm 9 years older, so I thought I would have a larger lump sum. Is this right? Okay. So people comparing lump sums, it could be good, that could be bad. So in this case, this individual is saying that, hey, we're pretty much, we're hired around the same time, we're doing the same job and everything. Why is mine different? Well, it's going to be based upon that age. So if you had twins that start on the same day, then yeah, everything would be kind of neck and neck the same. But there's different ages associated with the calculation. Final average pay, the Social Security offsets, all that kind of comes into it. But really, the culprit here, where somebody, let's say, is 9 years older, is because when you look at that lump sum, the calculation method is going to look at your longevity. So let's assume that both of you come out, you're going to get $4,000 a month for the rest of your life. You're, let's say he's 60 years old and you're 65 years, you're 9 years old. Okay. So let's say that somebody is 60 versus 69. What's going to happen is they look at, okay, this $4,000 a month we're going to pay you for the rest of your life. Well, how long is that the rest of your life? Somebody who's 60 might have 25 years left in them, whereas somebody who's 69 might only have, 16 years left in them. So what they're going to do is they're going to take a look at that $4,000 a month for the rest of those assumed years till life expectancy, and then run a net present value calculation. So the 60-year-old in this case, the person younger than you by 9 years, is going to have more payments used to calculate that lump sum. So obviously the more payments, it's going to generate them a higher lump sum. So normally speaking, the older you are, once you pass 60, your lump sum calculation, everything else held equal, with no changes in interest rates or anything, is going to start to go down slightly because you're just unfortunately getting closer and closer to that date of death in that calculation method. So again, give us a call. We can kind of run those for you, but ultimately that's the situation. It's age as a culprit, not just interest rates, but interest rates and age are the culprits in the pension lump sum calculation. So again, at the end of the day, I've mentioned this more than once. Really, if you want to look at these situations one-on-one, give us a call. We can run a cash flow analysis for you. That way we can plug these numbers in, show you what your choices are, show you how they're affecting the decisions, now and what they look like, 10, 20, 30 years down the road. And then just give us a call to schedule a meeting. You can reach us at 1-800-900-5867. But again, we can sit down with you face-to-face, or we can look at setting up a web meeting to go over any questions that you do have and dig into those numbers. But that cash flow analysis I mentioned, don't get too alarmed. It's not going to take that long, maybe about 10 minutes or so, gathering a little bit of data from you. And give us about a week, we'll put together that report, and that will show you where you stand right now and can help us determine if you should make any adjustments to your either to your allocations or to your date of retirement, things like that. But really right now about 3/4 of Americans over 50 don't have a written plan. So again, spend about 10 minutes with us, give us about a week, and then we'll spend another 30 minutes to an hour going over that with you and let you know exactly where you stand so you can make educated decisions along the way. So again, I want to wrap that up, but any questions, just give us a call at 1-800-900-5867. You can also reach us at info@theretirementgroup.com. If you want to email us to schedule an appointment or any questions there, we'll get back to you, or have one of the advisors get back to you. And you can also schedule an appointment using the QR code up on the screen. That can get you into our calendar, so you can set an appointment with myself or one of the other advisors across America. Or also, if you'd like to get into the Chevron specific LinkedIn page, so that way we keep you updated on the monthly changes in interest rates and any other changes or webinars we have coming up covering Chevron. And at the end of the day, like I said, we've worked extensively with Chevron and can answer those questions about the transition process, but we are not endorsed by nor are we employed by Chevron. But again, at the end of the day, any questions you want to reach us, it's 1-800-900-5867. Thank you very much.